If you thought that life is already hard and your pockets are already punctured, well, brace yourself because you are likely to have an even tougher time. That is, if Parliament votes to approve the proposals in the Presidential Memo on the Finance Bill 2018. Now, there are two components to this memo. One is tax measures and the other is budget cuts. So let's start with taxes. President Uhuru Kenyatta proposed to cut VAT on petroleum products from 16% to 8%. Even as that still spells a more expensive life than what you had been living on, you're about to pay more taxes as the government seeks to raise more funds for its development plans. So let's start with one of the most commodities in the country, that is kerosene. Now, with kerosene, the president is introducing an 18 shilling per litre tax of kerosene under the name adulteration levy. Kerosene currently retails at 97 shillings and 70 cents in Nairobi, which factors in the 16% VAT. With the new levy, that figure will shoot to 112 shillings and 15 cents. And I'm sure most of you have phones, and using your phone is now going to be expensive because when we move to this next slide, mobile data and airtime services, I look at the social media timelines, obviously you will see complaints upon complaints about how quickly airtime and data bundles are running out. This is about to get even costlier as the president proposes that the tax moves from the current 10% to 15% currently for every 100 shillings you spend buying airtime or data. This is what this will mean. 10 shillings goes to tax. But now, if the president proposal is approved, you'll pay 15 shillings tax for every 100 shillings you spend. Now, the next one is going to be still on mobile phones, mobile money cash transfer. Now, so far, things have been very, very tough. And on different platforms, this is what has been going on. But what the president wants is you to pay more taxes to move money across mobile platforms. In the 2018-2019 budget, the Cabinet Secretary Henry Rotich had proposed to increase the tax from the current 10% to 12%. Many people complained, but the president is proposing to increase this tax to a further 20%. That's not all. That is in the president's basket of surprises. If you are a betting lover, for those who love sports over the weekend, you will now pay 20% tax on all your winnings. If you win 100 shillings, for example, the government is going to take 20 shillings, unlike before when you would take it all. Now, but as the president proposes to tax the winnings, this is for all the people who win during these betting competitions, he is offering reprieve to betting companies. And these betting companies, there's going to be a slash from the tax that was proposed, 35%, that the MPs proposed, to 15%. So now, let's bring it home. The current budget proposes a housing levy of 1%. Of 1.5%, a 0.5% contribution by the employer and 0.5% contribution by the employee. MPs shot down this proposal. However, the president not only wants this tax to stay, but also wants to increase the contributions to a total of 3%, 1% to be contributed by the employer, in my case, Nation Media Group, and 1.5% by myself from my payslip. And more bitter proposals for chocolate lovers. Every kilo of chocolate that you're going to buy is going to buy, every chocolate you're going to buy will now attract a 20 shilling levy. Now, this means that for every 1,000 shillings you spend on a kilo of chocolate, 200 shillings will go to tax. Curious to see the trends and spends around February 14th if this passes. So let's go to the bank. President Uhuru Kenyatta wants you to pay a 20% levy on every transaction you make, up from the current 10%. Now, this means that, for instance, from the 30 shilling you are charged for ATM transactions, the government will now take 6 shillings instead of 3 shillings. These, of course, will eat into banks' revenue, and so it is likely to be passed on to you and increase the amount you are charged per transaction. Now, those are a lot of taxes to prepare yourself for. On the flip side of the memo, the president wants to cut 55 billion shillings from government expenditure. For context, this is 1.8 of the 3 trillion shillings budget. The supplementary budget is cutting down the county government's budget from 314 billion shillings to 304 billion. These figures are too astronomical. Now, the development expenditure will also come down from 677 billion to 642 billion shillings. The consolidated fund will remain untouched at 962 billion shillings, and the recurrent expenditure, which has been a consistent point of concern and criticism, has been increased from 1.02 trillion shillings to 1.06 trillion, while the national government's budget reduces from 2.7 trillion to 2.6 trillion. Now, this then brings the total budget down from 3.026 trillion shillings to 2.97 trillion. That is what the president wants, and his wish may just be your command if the National Assembly gives his memorandum the green light.